I slipped into the back of the classroom, hoping no one would notice me today. Late again, orphan boy. Darian's voice cut through the chatter like a knife. I froze, my heart hammering. "Shut up," I muttered. Trying to keep my voice steady, Darian smirked, leaning back in his chair. "Orphan? Still bitter you don't have anyone to back you up?" He laughed, and the others joined in, the sound echoing around me. I clenched my fists under the desk. "I don't need anyone." My voice was quieter than I wanted, but it was enough to make Darian scoff. "You sure about that?" he said. "No one to protect you. No money, no status. You're nothing." I bit my lip, refusing to reply. Words never worked with him, they never did. Lila, sitting a few rows away, shot me a quick glance. Her eyes flickered sympathy, but she didn't speak. She never did. Darian leaned closer. "Hey, tell me something. Why are you even here? Nobody wants you around. Why don't you just disappear?" I looked him in the eye just for a second. "Because I'm not like you." He laughed harder. "Oh, I like that. The orphan thinks he's smart." "You're pathetic," few kids snickered. I felt my face heat up. I hated feeling small, hated the helplessness pressing down on me, but I didn't back down. Not today. "Listen," I said, my voice firmer now. "Mocking me won't make you better." "Better?" Darian's eyebrows shot up. "Better than a nobody like you? You're dreaming, kid." I forced a grin, even though my chest ached. "Maybe I am. But dreams don't need your permission." He leaned back, smirking again. "Big words for someone who lives in the gutter. What's your plan anyway? Cry to yourself at night? Hope someone saves you?" "Not exactly," I said. "I plan to rise." "On my own?" The class bell rang, cutting off our argument. Darian rolled his eyes. "Finally. Run along, orphan. Don't trip over your own feet," I muttered under my breath. "One day you'll remember my name." "Did you say something?" Darian asked. But I just shrugged and walked out. In the hallway, the laughter followed me, a constant reminder. I kept my head down and my pace steady. Lila fell in step beside me. "You okay?" she whispered. I nodded barely. "I'll be fine." She hesitated, then said, "There. Cruel, but I see how strong you are. Don't let them get to you." Her words surprised me. "Thanks," I said softly. We parted at the stairwell, and I felt a flicker of warmth I hadn't felt in a long time. A reminder that maybe, just maybe, not everyone hated me. Back in my empty room that evening, I stared at the ceiling. I replayed the day over and over. Every insult, every smirk, my chest tightened with anger, but also determination. I wouldn't be an orphan forever. I wouldn't let Darian or anyone else define me. Someday, I whispered to myself, they'll regret laughing at me. I didn't know when, but I promised myself right then that I would rise. And no one, not Darian, not anyone would stand in my way. Asterisk, I wandered through the city outskirts, trying to escape the noise, the laughter, the whispers. The walls of my world felt smaller every day, and today I needed space. That's when I saw him. He was tall, sharp-suited, and radiated a presence that made people step aside automatically. Even from a distance, I felt a weight in the air. Fear. Respect. I couldn't tell. "You're alone," he said, his voice low, smooth, and commanding. I jumped, spinning around. "I wasn't bothering anyone, Hastim. Studying me like a hawk." "No, you're fine. But you're restless. You have fire in your eyes?" "I don't know what you mean," I muttered, unsure whether to run or stay. He chuckled. "You do. I can see it. You're not like the others. You don't belong." "But you want to," I frowned. "Who are you?" "Someone who sees potential," he said. "Call me Calder." "Calder," I repeated, skeptical. "What? What does that mean?" "It means I've noticed you. Most people ignore the weak, the orphaned. But I don't. I like seeing strength buried under neglect." I swallowed hard. "Why me?" He stepped closer, gaze unwavering. Because whether you know it or not, you're ready for something bigger. Something most people can't handle. I felt a chill. I'm nobody. Just a kid from nowhere. He smiled faintly. Nobody. I see a survivor. Someone who fights when the world tries to break him. That's rare. I couldn't stop my curiosity. And what would I get if I followed you? What do you want from me? Nothing, he said simply. I offer guidance, strength, a chance to rise. But only if you can handle it. Are you willing to learn? I hesitated. The streets I knew were cruel, but what he offered, it sounded impossible, dangerous, exciting. I don't know, I admitted. You will know, Calder said, voice firm but patient. I don't ask loyalty. I ask courage. Stand with me, and you'll see the world differently. Fail, and you go back to being invisible. One looked down, thinking of Darian, of every insult, every humiliation. My chest tightened, but anger sharpened my focus. I'll do it, I said finally. He nodded once. Good, you won't be the same again. Remember that. I studied him, trying to read the man behind the reputation, the fear people whispered about. Something told me he meant it. Why? Call me son? I asked impulsively. Calder's eyes softened for a fraction of a second. Because one day, you'll be more than yourself, and I'll make sure the world knows it. I didn't understand everything he said, but something inside me shifted. For the first time in years, I felt seen, and maybe, just maybe, my life was about to change forever. Calder led me to a sleek black car parked near the edge of the street. Get in, he said. I hesitated. Why should I? He raised an eyebrow. Because staying here won't make you anything. You want to rise, don't you? I swallowed hard, glancing back at the empty streets. And if I refuse, then you go back to being overlooked, invisible, forgotten. Oh. The words stung. I stepped in, heart hammering. Inside, the leather seats smelled of expensive polish and something sharper, like power. Calder studied me quietly, almost like a teacher waiting for the student to speak. So, I began, what exactly do you want from me? He smiled faintly. I want to see what you're capable of. That's all, and if I fail. You won't, he said simply. But if you do, you'll know why you were chosen. I frowned. Chosen? For what? To learn. To grow. To survive? To take control of your life instead of letting the world control you. I shook my head. Sounds dangerous? He leaned back. It is. I won't lie. You'll see things you can't unsee. Make choices that will haunt you. But that's the only way to become more than a nobody. I thought of Darian, of every insult I'd endured, every laugh. My fists tightened. And I just follow you. You learn first. Then you decide, he said. I won't force you. But I will guide you if you're willing. I hesitated. And if I say yes? Calder's eyes softened just a little. Then you start a life that most people can't even imagine. You become someone they will fear. Or respect. I swallowed, the weight of the decision pressing down. And what if I can't do it? You can, he said firmly. I only take those who have the fire to fight for themselves. You have it. I can see it. His gaze was intense, unflinching. I wanted to run, but something in his confidence made me feel capable. I don't understand everything, I admitted, voice low. But I want to try. He nodded. Good, that's all I ask. No promises of comfort, no guarantees of safety. Only the chance to be more than the world expects of you. I clenched my fists, thinking of every taunt, every lonely night, every moment I felt powerless. Then I'm in, I said. Calder's lips curved into a small smile. Excellent. You'll see the world differently soon. And remember, nothing is given. Everything is earned. Even respect. I met his gaze, trying to imagine what that meant. Something deep inside me stirred a mixture of fear and excitement. Lead the way, I said. He nodded once, as if approving a silent pact. Welcome to the first day of your real life. As the car started moving, I stared out the window, watching the streets I knew fade behind me. My life was changing. I didn't know how far it would go, but I knew one thing: there was no turning back. Asterisk. The first day inside Calder's world hit harder than I expected. The mansion was huge, cold, and silent, except for the faint hum of voices in the distance. I didn't know anyone except him, and that was both terrifying and thrilling. "Sit," Calder said, gesturing to a chair. "Before we start, I need to know why you're really here." I swallowed. 2. To learn. 2. Survive. To not be powerless anymore. He studied me silently, and I felt like my soul was being measured. Finally, he nodded. "Good. You speak truth. That's rare. Am I going to fight people, or just think?" I asked, uncertain. "You'll do both," he said. "Strength is useless without strategy, and strategy without strength is meaningless. Understand?" I nodded, though my stomach tightened. "Yes, I think so." Clara appeared then, clipboard in hand. "We start with observation," she said. Her tone was sharp, but not cruel. "You watch, learn, and remember. Mistakes are costly here." "I can do that," I said, trying to sound confident. Jackson, one of Calder's younger enforcers, leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "Hope you're tougher than you look, kid. Most don't last a week. I'll last," I said firmly, meeting his gaze. He smirked. "We'll see." The next hours were brutal. Not physically, but mentally. I watched every move, memorized patterns, and listened to every whispered command. Calder pushed me to think, to anticipate, to question. "Why did you hesitate?" he asked at one point, after I froze during a simulation. "I was thinking," I admitted. "I didn't want to make a mistake. A mistake is a lesson," he said. "Learn faster. Hesitation can kill you." Clenched my fists, frustration bubbling. "I won't hesitate again." "Good," he said, eyes sharp. "That's what I want to hear." Clara brought me to a room with shadows and targets. Hands steady, eyes sharp. Every move counts. I raised the weapon in my hands, trying to steady my trembling. "I'm ready," and begin, she said. The hours blurred. Calder's voice echoed in my mind constantly. "Strength without control is worthless. Control without strength is useless. Learn both." Jackson finally nodded, a rare sign of respect. "You're improving faster than I expected." "Ah!" I gave a short grin. "Thanks." By nightfall, my arms ached, my mind burned, but I felt awake. For the first time, I wasn't just surviving. I was learning to fight, to plan, to think like someone who could never be overlooked again. Calder appeared, leaning against the doorway. "You endured the day without breaking. That counts for something. But remember, this is just the beginning. Darkness will test you, kid." "I'm not afraid," I said, though my voice wavered slightly. "You should be," he said calmly. "Fear keeps you sharp. Respect it. Don't run from it." I nodded, understanding more than I could admit. Every word, every glance, every task was molding me. I didn't know the man fully yet, but I knew I wanted to impress him not for praise, but because I wanted to be worthy of my own survival. Before leaving the room, I muttered to myself, "I won't fail. I won't be weak. Not anymore." Jackson smirked from the corner. "Good, I like the fire in you. Don't lose it." Clara simply shook her head, a hint of a smile tugging at her lips. "You'll need more than fire. You'll need control. Never forget that." I nodded, letting the words sink in. I was changing. I could feel it. And for the first time, I didn't just want to survive, wanted to rise. Asterisk. The city felt smaller when I returned. Familiar streets, familiar faces, yet everything seemed different. I had changed even if they hadn't noticed yet. "Back so soon, orphan?" Darian's voice cut through the air like it always did. He leaned against a wall with that same smug grin. I stopped, meeting his gaze calmly. "Yeah, Back. He laughed, loud and cruel. Didn't expect you to last out there. Thought you'd vanish like always? I didn't vanish, I said, my voice steady. I learned. Learned. Huh? Learned what? How to beg for attention. I shook my head. No, I learned to survive. And more importantly, I learned to think. Darian frowned, taken aback. Think? What are you talking about? I stepped closer, letting him see the change in me. You see me as weak as a nobody, but the world doesn't have to be the way you see it. I don't care about your opinion anymore. His smirk faltered slightly. Funny, you still sound like a kid. I laughed softly. Maybe, but a kid who isn't afraid anymore. Small crowd had gathered, curious. Whispers rippled through them, but I didn't care. I was no longer invisible. You really think you're different? Darian asked, voice sharp. I know I am, I said. And it's not about thinking I'm better than anyone. It's about not letting anyone else define me. He stared at me, disbelief written across his face. Who? Who do you think you are? I'm the same kid you tried to humiliate, I said. Only now, I've learned how to stand on my own. You mocked me for having no family. But that doesn't matter anymore. I'm stronger than you'll ever understand. Adrian's jaw tightened. You're arrogant. You think this changes anything? I shook my head. No, it just means I'm done being afraid. And I'm done letting you control how I feel about myself. He stepped back, suddenly unsure. You think you can just walk back into our world and not walk back? I interrupted, my voice firm. I'm here to take my place. No one else's permission needed. Silence fell. Even the onlookers didn't know what to say. Darian's confidence wavered, a crack forming where arrogance once lived. You're different, he muttered finally, almost to himself. I've always been different, I said softly. You just never noticed. Lila appeared then, quietly standing to the side. He's stronger than before, she whispered to someone nearby. I caught her glance and nodded slightly. Thanks, I said, more to myself than her. Her quiet support reminded me I wasn't entirely alone. Darian scowled, stepping away. This isn't over. Maybe not, I replied, my lips curling into a faint smile. But it is for me. I'm done being your target. He hesitated, rage flickering in his eyes, but he walked off, muttering under his breath. The crowd dispersed slowly, some nodding at me, others unsure what to make of the change. I stayed for a moment, letting the feeling settle. The city hadn't changed. People hadn't changed. But I had. I whispered to myself, I'm not the same kid you once knew. I won't be small anymore. I won't be invisible. Not to him. Not to anyone. Walking down the familiar streets, I felt a surge of something I hadn't felt in years. Control, power, purpose. I had returned, but not to the same life. I had returned to claim mine. Asterisk, I thought I had learned who I could trust. I thought Calder's world was clear. I was wrong, Tess. I hissed, catching her sneaky glance in the hall. She looked startled, then smiled. You found me. I trusted you, I said, voice low but fierce. I followed your advice, listened to you, believed you had my back. And this is how you repay me? She shrugged, pretending innocence. Repay you? I don't owe you anything. You should know that by now. You were supposed to guide me. I stepped closer, anger boiling. I thought we were allies. Her laugh was sharp, almost cruel. Allies. Don't be naive. This world doesn't reward loyalty. It rewards ambition. And I want to rise faster than you. I clenched my fists. By betraying me? By surviving, she said coldly. By making the choices you can't. If you're too weak to do the same, that's your problem. I trusted Calder, I said, my voice shaking with a mix of anger and hurt. I thought I could trust the people he chose. Tessa's smirk widened. Calder isn't naive. He knows who you are. He doesn't care about my motives. He cares that I have power. And I do. You're just in the way. You're going to ruin everything, I said, my heart pounding. You already think I have. She leaned closer, whispering, maybe you'll see soon. Stepped back, chest heaving, my mind spinning. Tess had played me all along. Every word, every tip, every piece of advice, it had been manipulation. Why? I demanded. Why betray me? After everything? Why not? She said with a shrug. The world doesn't wait for the good-hearted. You think your little ideals matter out here? Wake up. I felt rage and disbelief clash inside me. I had learned to control my emotions, but this cut deeper than Darian ever had. You'll pay for this, I whispered, more to myself than her. I'll make sure you regret it. A laugh echoed down the hall. Regret? Don't flatter yourself. You're too small to touch me. But I enjoy your anger. Keep it. It suits you. I turned away, forcing my fists to unclench. My mind raced. I had faced Darian. I had survived the streets. I had endured Calder's harsh tests, but betrayal from someone inside his circle. That hurt differently. I whispered under my breath. I won't let this destroy me. Not now. Not ever. Clara appeared silently at the end of the hall, watching Tess leave. She looked at me, eyes sharp. You saw that? Yes, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. She's been manipulating me, using me. I trusted her. Clara nodded slowly. Then you know now. Trust has a price here. Learn fast. I will, I said, clenching my jaw. But this isn't over. Not for her, not for me. I walked away, each step heavier than the last, feeling the weight of deception press down on me. The shadows of betrayal were real. The lesson was harsh, but clear in Calder's world. Even allies could turn, and I would be ready. I would survive. I would rise, and no one, not Tess, not Darian, not anyone would stand in my way. I had learned to control my anger. I had learned to think 2 steps ahead. Now, it was time to act. Tess, I called from across the room, my voice calm but firm. She looked up, surprised. What do you want? I want to know why you underestimated me, I said, stepping closer. I followed your games. I saw every move you made. Her smirk faltered. You think you caught me? I know I did, I replied, and you made one mistake. Her eyebrows rose. Enlighten me. You assumed I wouldn't notice. You assumed I wouldn't learn. You assumed I was weak. But I've changed. I see everything now. Her lips tightened. You're arrogant. Overconfident. Or maybe I'm prepared, I said, voice low and dangerous. You played with me. You betrayed me. But I'm not the same kid you tried to manipulate. Tess's gaze sharpened. You won't get away with this. I already have, I said. The pieces are in place. Every secret you tried to hide, every plan you tried to execute, it's unraveling. She glared, stepping closer. And what then? You think Calder will side with you over me? I shrugged. Calder isn't the one you need to worry about. Jackson appeared behind me, smirking. Looks like someone finally learned to play the game. I nodded. I did more than learn. I adapted, waited. And now, I control the board. As his face paled slightly. You can't just watch me, I interrupted. Everything you built, everything you thought was safe, it's falling apart. And I didn't even have to touch it personally. Just a few well-placed moves, and your power is gone. You're bluffing, she hissed. Am I? I asked, stepping closer. Do you feel it? The cracks forming under your feet? That's the difference between someone who survives and someone who just pretends. Her hands trembled. She tried to speak, but no words came out. Calder appeared at the doorway, silent as ever. Impressive, he said. His eyes met mine. You've learned control and patience. Power isn't about strength alone. It's about knowing when to strike. I felt a surge of pride. Thank you, I said, though my words were quiet. You're welcome, Calder replied. But remember, the real test is ahead. Don't let arrogance blind you. I nodded, understanding. I had won this round, but the battle wasn't over. Not yet. Tess finally turned away, furious, but she didn't walk confidently. She stumbled, unsure, exposed. I could see the fear now, the the realization that she had lost her grip. "Not bad," Jackson said, leaning against the wall. "You've got style and brains," I smirked faintly. "Brains always beat brute force, eventually." Calder studied me again. "You've gained respect today, and not just from me. Others are noticing." I let that sink in. I had moved from the shadows to the center of attention, not through arrogance, but through strategy. Every lesson, every betrayal, every moment of pain had led me here. Tess's betrayal had been the turning point, and now I was the one in control. The power shift wasn't just about revenge, it was about survival and foresight. I stepped back, exhaling slowly. "This is just the beginning," I said quietly. "More to myself than anyone else, and I intend to see it through," I added, voice firmer. Calder nodded once, approving. "Good. Remember, the world respects the prepared, not the impulsive. You've proven yourself today." I met his gaze, feeling something I hadn't felt in years: confidence. True confidence. The kind that comes not from arrogance, from knowing you've earned every step you've taken. I looked at Tess one last time. The shadow of her arrogance was gone, and I knew without a doubt that the game had changed. This was my world now. Asterisk, I found Tess in the office, her hands trembling as she shuffled papers. She looked up, eyes widening the moment she saw me. She whispered, voice tight. "Yes," I said, stepping inside. "It's time to face what you've done." Her lips quivered. I didn't think you didn't think I'd notice," I interrupted, voice sharp. "I noticed everything. Every lie. Every manipulation. Every time you tried to turn Calder against me." Her face twisted in frustration. "I only did what I had to do. You don't understand this world?" "I understand it better than you," I said calmly. "You thought cunning alone could protect you. But power isn't just cunning. It's strategy, patience, and control. You lacked one of those, Tess, and that's why you're standing here, exposed." She took a step back. You can't. "I already have," I said, cutting her off. "Every move you made, every plan you thought was secret, it's unraveling. Do you feel it? That fear crawling up your spine? That's the sound of your control slipping away." Her hands clenched into fists. "You think you're better than me?" I don't think I said. "I know. And it's not about being better, it's about surviving. Something you forgot in your chase for ambition." Silence fell. I could see the reality crashing down on her. Her power, her schemes, her careful manipulation, it was all failing. You'll pay for this," she hissed. I smiled faintly. "No, Tess, you already are paying. And you've earned it. Not from me, but from your own mistakes. The world has a way of correcting imbalance." She glared, fury and fear mingling in her expression. You think Calder will forgive this?" Calder's voice interrupted from the doorway. "I don't forgive foolishness, and what Tess did was dangerous. But I respect the way you handled it." I turned to him. She had to be confronted. "I needed to do it myself." He nodded. "Good. Independence and judgment, these are what make someone strong. And you have both." Tess's breathing grew rapid. You'll never rise above me. I won't let it happen." "You underestimated me," I said. "You underestimated patience, planning, and resilience. Your arrogance blinded you, and now you've lost." Her lips parted, searching for a retort, but none came. I could see the fear, the realization that she had miscalculated everything. "You'll learn," added quietly, "that actions have consequences. Not everything is about winning today. Some victories take time to unfold." Her eyes flickered with a mix of hate and shock. She finally spun around and left, her footsteps echoing down the hall. I exhaled slowly, letting the tension drain from my shoulders. The reckoning wasn't about punishment. It was about closure. Seeing her crumble without losing myself, it was proof that I had changed. Jackson appeared behind me, smirking. "You handled that well. Smart and controlled. I didn't expect it." I nodded faintly. "I've learned from betrayal, from pain, from the streets, and from Calder. He chuckled. Looks like you're officially not the orphan everyone mocked anymore. I let a small smile slip. No, I'm not. And I won't be. Not ever. Calder's eyes met mine. Today, you claimed more than victory. You claimed respect. And that's worth more than power. I felt something deep inside, pride, yes, but also relief. The reckoning wasn't just Tess's, it was mine. I had faced the shadows, the betrayal, the fear, and I had come out stronger. Thank you, I said softly, not just to him, but to everyone who had tested me. Every insult, every challenge, every betrayal had led me here. Calder's nod was faint but approving. Good. Remember this feeling. Use it to guide your next steps. I stepped back, letting the weight of the moment settle. I was no longer the same boy who had been mocked and humiliated. I had risen. I had survived. I had claimed my place, and from now on, no one would ever define me again. Asterisk. It was late when I finally stepped into Calder's study. The room smelled of leather, cigars, and a faint hint of cedar. He was waiting, calm as ever, eyes sharp. You're back, he said, his tone even. I am, I replied. And I've learned a lot. Calder smiled faintly. I hope so. But have you understood what it means to rise? I think I have, I said. It's not just strength. It's control, patience, seeing the moves before they happen. Exactly, he said, nodding, and I hesitated, thinking of the journey, the betrayals, the lessons, and the moments that had nearly broken me. It's also knowing who you are and choosing what you become, even when the world doubts you. He leaned back, studying me. And who have you become? I looked down for a moment, then back at him. I'm not the orphan they mocked anymore. I'm someone who earns respect, not through fear or privilege, but through everything I've faced. Pain, betrayal, discipline. It made me stronger. Calder's gaze softened for a moment. You've grown. I have, I admitted. But not just because of you. Because of everything I survived on my own. Because I refused to stay small. Because I decided I wouldn't let the world define me. He nodded slowly. Then you understand why I called you. Son, the word hit me in a way I didn't expect. Not a title. Not an ownership, but recognition, acceptance. Something I had craved without knowing it. I don't know what to say, I whispered. You don't need to say anything, he said. Just live it. Every choice, every step. Let that be enough. I swallowed hard, emotions knotting in my chest. I thought family was gone for me, that no one would ever care, ever guide me but you. You changed that. Calder's smile was faint, almost hidden. I saw potential. You saw survival. Together, we made it real. But remember, the title isn't important. The bond is, you've earned it by being yourself. I felt a warmth I hadn't felt in years. I never imagined I could feel. You've been through hell, he said, and still here you stand. That's why you're my son, not because I chose you, but because you became someone worth acknowledging. I looked down at my hands, clenched from years of struggle, and felt a shift inside. I won't forget this. I won't waste it. You won't, he said confidently. And now, the world sees you differently too. Not just me. They'll respect what you've become. And someday, you'll know what that truly means. I nodded. I understand. More than I can say. We stood in silence, the weight of unspoken words between us. But it wasn't uncomfortable. It was recognition, validation, closure. Finally, I spoke, voice steady. Thank you. For seeing me? For letting me become something more. Calder nodded once. You made yourself more. I just recognized it. That's all. I left the study that night feeling whole. Not because someone called me son, but because I finally knew I had earned it. Every scar, every struggle, every lonely night had led me here, and for the first time in my life, I felt at home. Not in a place, not in a title, but in myself. I had risen. I had survived. And I had become the person I was always meant to be. The world could mock, betray, or challenge me. But I had learned the most important lesson. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes, it's the people who recognize your worth and the strength you choose to wield. And in that recognition, I found myself, I was no longer the orphan, I was Calder's son, and I was finally free.